The prospect for legalization is actually better in the US than in Europe, especially on the state level. 10 states have already legalized, and New York and New Jersey should legalize in the next 12 to 24 months. Cory Booker, senator from New Jersey, he introduced a bill to legalize marijuana nationally into the Senate earlier this year, and several of the other candidates for president have signed on to that, so it's looking promising. In Europe, it's a little bit touchier because, well, they generally have lower incidence rates of marijuana smoking, and so it's just not as big of a popular kick. So, none of the major parties have really signed on to it. You have like Lib Dems in the UK and maybe the Greens in Germany, and that's about it. Some of the reasons for legalization are, one is, well, popularity. I mean, in the US, there's a 17% prevalence of cannabis smoking. So that's like 40 million people who are smoking cannabis. So that's like a very large voting bloc. They can get behind it. And then also another reason is just taxation. The states that have legalized so far have instituted sales tax rates between like 20 and 45%. So that's like a really nice revenue stream for them. Well, what really blew my mind was just the size of the market. I mean, you know that a lot of people smoke pot. I mean, that's kind of like understood. But in the US, I mean, when you do the numbers, it could be a $90 billion market every year. And in the EU5 countries, it could be like $40 billion if it's legalized there. So it's really just the size of the market is really kind of mind-blowing. One thing you want to do is you want to be associated with top brands, because as we've seen from what's happening in California, Oregon, Colorado, the top 5 brands tend to have the majority of the market. I think it's like a little over 50% in California, almost 3/4 of the market in Oregon, Colorado. They were going to top brands. One area you probably don't want to be in is the growers, just because there's really a supply glut on the market. In Oregon, for example, there's 6.5 years worth of supply on the market currently, and just more and more people trying to get licenses to be able to grow. So that's the place where, unless you're really the lowest cost producer, it's going to be pretty tough. So in the therapeutic market historically has been relatively small. There were a few cannabinoids that were approved by the FDA, but they've been generally providing about $50 million in revenues a year. But then last year, the FDA approved Epidiolex by GW Pharmaceuticals, which is CBD for some rare epilepsies. And Wall Street consensus is for about $1.7 billion in annual sales by 2024, which is pretty exciting.